welcome back to a brand new live stream on my channel. Today we have a very special guest with us. We have the CEO of Brickken. Edwin, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, how are you, man? Thanks very much for inviting me. It's been a while since I'm in your channel, so happy to be back.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. The last time we spoke, I think on AMA was in 2023, wasn't it? Or 20, I think it was 23 when you guys first launched. Sound bad.
Yeah, pre-TGE. It was like we were about to launch like a couple of weeks away, and we were just catching up as to what we were doing. So, yeah, a couple of years later, here I'm back again.
One second, they're saying that the sound is back. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you fine, but if they can't hear me, I'll take off my headphones.
No, no, you're
Just
fine. Who's Nova? Whose sound is bad? Is it me? Is it my mic? Let me just plug in, plug back out. Sometimes my mic just be acting up. On the audio. It should be fine, shouldn't it? It's trolling. Yours is like the bad mic. Now, Merkov is trolling, bro. Give him a hit with the timeout. I'm joking. I just plugged my mic out and plugged it back in for no reason. Is it okay now? Yeah, it's all good. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's good now. It's good now. They're saying it's good. All right, Edwin. Just tell us about Brickken. A lot of people on my channel are already aware of Brickken because I've been talking about it for a while now. But
thanks.
let's talk about the recent developments. You know what Brickken is, just for the new people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new people that join. They haven't really heard of Brickken.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we're a tokenization of real world assets, but what we tokenize is basically financial instrument. So, when a company is looking for an alternative fund of finance, we embed like the equity or the debt or the profit sharing on chain, so companies can look for alternative funds of finances. So that's what is tokenization. We started the journey in 2020, so we've been here for a while, but we actually launched our full DApp March 2023. So let's say in this new model that we built, we've been live for 2 years, and we already tokenized over 300 million in 14 different countries. And it's quite nice because we're growing quite fast, but obviously we can talk about the beginnings because we were here when they called security token offerings, and that was like a very scary word. Even though people use securities on a day-to-day, they didn't see it so much on chain. So back in 2022, 2023, when it's people that work to real world assets, everybody was like, oh yeah, now it's fine. And I was like, it's the same thing. This shows the importance of marketing. Like one word can really change a whole business.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a few big figures like Larry Fink, who's actually been, a big figure for tokenization for a very long time. And I think he kind of brought the attention to crypto because we had some tokenized projects last cycle, but I think
Yep.
this cycle with Larry Fink, the way he was pushing it and the way how big it's become now, I think we're probably going to see a lot more next cycle as well. A lot of RWA projects, in my opinion. But you guys have
Absolutely.
300 million tokenized, right? Because one thing that I
Yep.
always ask every RWA project, specifically, the ones that have a lot of tokenized. I mean, there's a lot of projects that claim they've tokenized such and such, but there's no
Yep.
on-chain proof. I know you guys have on-chain proof of your tokenization, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's two metrics that we tokenization platforms use, which is total tokenized value, which is how much your current clients are pursuing as a tokenization. And then the other one is TVL, total value look, how much an asset has traded against a third party. So in the TVL, we have 14 million, but in the coming months, we're about to grow because a lot of our clients were prepping up to launch. And now we're about to, there's a couple of issuance happening right now. And some this month we're packed with issuance. So we hope that, well, this is an estimate. I think we can grow between 5 to 10 million in the coming, we'll say 2 months on just on TBL. So as you say, it is true. Like I see a lot of platforms saying, "Oh, we tokenize half a billion of real estate," but it's like,
Yeah.
where is it? Kind of
Where's the
like,
proof? There's no on-chain proof.
yeah, and that's
The
a
one that I
problem
seen,
because
yeah, it's a massive problem. The one that I seen recently was Red Belly. They have supposedly they have 1 billion, tokenized. But then when you look at on-chain proof, the one with the most accounts is confidential. So it's like
yeah,
you can't really claim you've done something and then make Isn't it just like, I think RWA projects, most of it is built on trust. And if you can't really show proof, then, I think that trust isn't going to be there.
Yeah, so for that, I always say like right now the most impartial way of looking into TVL is DeFi Llama, because those
Yeah,
guys they're like true, they believe in the transparency of source, so you cannot like say, hey, put me this and that me this and all of that, because there's other platforms out there who like tend to do some things that's like, okay, yeah, it's confidential, then we can put it, and it's like, but no, like it's supposed to be value on chain. Why are we doing something that Web2 people do? It's like, yeah, I have all of this, but where is the proof? So I strongly suggest for people to always look into DeFi Llama, because it's the most, like, they don't care about the project or anything. They just want to show the value of projects
yeah.
across different verticals on chain. So that's what I use for metrics to understand what a project is doing.
What do you think of this? Because I have
Oh,
seen this, and I think this is actually happening tomorrow. What do you
yeah,
think of this?
I think it's going to be massive. I mean, right now, coming from the sector, like the TradFi, let's say the banks, asset owners, they're jumping from stable coins. So like they have their scope is built on three legs. The first one, the most important, is understanding stablecoin, right? Like this is the normal thing. They want to see how the money can flow on chain, cross border, and everything. The second one is treasuries. So they want to do like access or asset of Bitcoin, Ethereum, kind of like provide this to their LPs, or see if they can even have some of their treasuries on chain. So they're building that. And the third leg is the tokenization. So they want to build all of that financial instruments or assets on chain. And the first one is more like generalized, so it's been well adopted. The second one with the ETS, we see that it's already trending. And the third one, which was the latest, is what now people are picking up interest. So I think we're going to see a big move in the markets around tokenization of assets. And this one is key because obviously United States decided to be crypto friendly. So other countries across the globe, they're already testing kind of how the tokenization is happening. And United States with the SEC was left behind. So I think tomorrow it's not going to be like a game changer. I think it's the beginning of what can be a game changer. So we should really look into what happens after tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, crypto is mainly of hype, anyways. If these guys start to, actually start to approve tokenization in a way, I think that could or will move the crypto markets as well, because it's mostly hype. All you need is like one of the big companies to do something in that sector, and then everyone jumps on it. That's how I look at crypto.
No,
And
absolutely.
I've also seen this as well. You posted
Yeah.
this. What do you think of this? What was I know you guys have quite a few big things coming. Obviously, you can't really say every single one of them, but can you guys give us some hints of what's
Yeah.
gonna come in the coming weeks, months?
I think starting with tomorrow with the SEC and this announcement from big individuals with a big name showcasing what is the possibilities of tokenization, is that they're sending a message like United States it's open for securities on chain, right? Because United States is the biggest capital market in the world. Like Nasdaq is the biggest secondary market out there. So it's normal, like if they see other countries trying to pick up the new version of capital markets, which is the tokenized, then they will lose traction. So that's why they're speeding
Yeah,
up the process and say like, hey, we really need to start building the Nasdaq, the rails, everything for the tokenization to happen in United States, or we're gonna lose against other countries. Because the whole thing about it is the inflow of capital. So if money is leaving a country to buy stocks, also is leaving the stables or the fiat. So there's a
yeah.
whole lot of sectors in the macro that is affected by capital markets. So all of these news are super bullish, and we do have some certain knowledge and access to certain people that are saying like United States about to really put the rails to understand that tokenization of assets can happen in United States. So that's going to bring a lot of inflow of capital, just because when you want to go big, you shoot your equity on Nasdaq. That's the highest you can go. So now they're trying to say, okay, if you want to shoot your tokenize of whatever, you can do it in the United States. So all they're pursuing is more capital inflows to go. And I think this is kind of like extremely bullish.
I think it's very bullish. I think it's going to continue to grow, but it's like I think tokenization at the moment is kind of like the start. is like it's just starting up. Like something. I think it's an infant stage. Eventually, maybe in a couple of years, it will start to get massive and massive because it's a massive. I think it's a $16 trillion idea or
Yeah.
something. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, they like that. That was Boston Consulting 2 years ago, saying it was too like 16 trillion. I think now they're way below because the adoption being faster. So there's always one saying like we might hit even 50, and we're talking about trillions. And it is true what you're saying. Like RWA might be the slowest, kind of like vertical. For example, gaming in 2021, boom, like it was
Yeah.
everybody know what it was. But with securities and financial instruments is kind of like the TradFi, so it's more like slow. But then again, that's where the billions of capital is. So if we succeed for RWA to become a vertical and TradFi people jump into the chain, then all of that money will start dispersing to the verticals because people are not going to enter. Like your Wall Street guy, not going to enter for your gaming. Not criticizing gaming. I'm a gamer. I'm just putting an example. So
I
are
don't.
you
I
saying
don't think they will.
the
Gaming's been
big
dead for the
capital?
past this whole
Yeah.
cycle, pretty much. It's
And
been
until
terrible.
GTA comes out, I think it's gonna be a hard vertical for this year. But
On the
next year,
game.
it might boom.
Most likely, yeah. I mean, I can't really. I think GTA was the catalyst, but they've pushed that back now to 2026.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
I
don't know
think
if
that
the
was a
cycle is going to be around in 2026. That's the only issue. You're going to go spend the whole
yeah.
cycle without
That's
no
right.
gaming run. It's definitely possible. That's why I've mostly put my portfolio into AI and RWA because that's pretty much what everyone's talking about at the moment.
Yeah, I think those two are also my bets of what are the strongest verticals. Obviously, I'm biased on RWA, but with
Yeah,
AI, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
everybody's using it, so obviously it's gonna be one of the trending ones.
You think AI can be used in tokenization or no?
We're implementing it internally for the help of people, kind of like your financial advisor that is next to you, guiding you
Yeah,
through the process, answering your queries. So we're using it more of a helper than optimizer. But we're testing already how to tokenize via chat. Kind of like you jump in, you give him all the ideas, and he's building up all the backend for your tokenization. Just trying to see how to become more efficient, but also more user friendly. Because tokenization is very straightforward. We do have a very nice platform, but still we always have to push our boundaries to say like how easy can we make it for people to understand what is tokenization and how to deploy the asset on chain. So we use an AI to really build a model that can really help them pursue without calling us, because that's one of our biggest pains. Like when they tokenize, we're like next to it hand holding them
yeah.
till
You
they,
gotta go step by step. Yeah,
it's it's too expensive from a perspective, because I have people really just focus on onboarding clients, and it takes a lot of time, and obviously they bombard you with questions. So I'm trying to take that off and say like, hey, here's your bot specifically
yeah.
made for you with your information, and good luck.
I mean, that's where AI agents I think will probably be implemented in a lot of stuff. The better they get, the easier people's life become pretty much. If you can take out something because a lot of people are busy, and if you can have your own little personal assistant that will help you with specific things, I think that will be the game changer.
Absolutely, I think so. It's a better version of you. I mean,
Yeah,
all the
pretty
know-how
much.
that there. So I think, yeah. I mean, I use it daily. I have my own Chat GPT bot that I made for myself, and I embed it with all my knowledge, and I have conversations with him about, hey, what should we do this? What do you think? And dude, my life has been better. Like I'm not even gonna lie. Like it amplifies you.
We've got a question here from Nova. Um, I do understand it correctly. Do I understand it correctly? You don't only focus on residential, commercial buildings, but can you finance company startups, for example?
Yeah, so I mean that's a great question, and there's a lot of misconception around that because we don't focus on real estate. We focus on giving the platform that allows any company to tokenize whatever they want. So a real estate, yes. A restaurant, the same. A gold mine, the same. A startup, their IP or their equity, the same. So you have to think about kind of like the Shopify of e-commerce. So when you want to build an e-commerce store, you can build it yourself or go to Shopify and they give you all the tooling to go live on the spot. So for us, it's kind of the same. We're a tokenization platform that I give you the end-to-end solution for you to tokenize whatever you want. So if you want to tokenize the equity of startup, we have tokenized a couple. For example, Hacken, we tokenized their Series A couple of months ago or a year already, and we already have a bunch of others. So yeah, I mean, real estate is just part of what we do, but even we don't decide. Like I give you the tooling, and it is the client who decides what they want. So if you want to tokenize a startup, we can help you as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is. That is a misconception that I do hear a lot regarding tokenization. Because people just think that you specialize in one aspect, but it's just like, if you have a working product, people can pretty much tokenize anything they want, can't they?
Absolutely. I mean, there's platforms out there that are focused on a specific niche,
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
I'm doing just real estate or
real
cars
estate,
or
yeah,
anything,
or
and that's
luxury
fine.
items, yeah,
On our end, we don't focus on a specific niche. We just provide the whole infra for everybody. So I mean, that's what we've been working for a couple of years. And yeah, so a lot of people also think like, oh, tokenization is just for real estate. Like you said, tokenization is for any business that needs money. Kind of like if they have equity, they want to raise through that, they can tokenize it. If they want to issue debt because they can feel like they can give them an APY back, they can do it. So tokenization works for everything. Should you tokenize everything? I mean, everything that is raisable on capital. Like if I don't know, if you tokenize something that nobody wants, then it's a fail. But in theory, you could tokenize everything you want.
I was gonna ask this as well, but Fizz has asked this. I know you guys done a new round of funding.
Yeah.
Can you go into not obviously everything, a lot of stuff probably confidential, but can you go over like the specifics or basics of what you guys are actually going to use that money for?
Yeah, so that money was for growing the team and positioning ourselves. So this is kind of like I run a Web2 company in the sense that if you go into my marketing, and we can disclose it's not confidential, we spend a lot of Google Ads, retargeting, kind of like my sales team is made out of 6 people, my marketing is 5. Kind of like I need money to be able to generate leads. Kind of like I need to pursue a model that I generate clients on a daily basis. Right now, we're generating approximately 30 calls per week, which is quite high for a B2B company. But that is expensive. So we raised capital on our equity because we wanted to grow faster. And why is that? Because we had a business model already that say like, if I spend €2 more here, 100 here, 1,000 here, kind of like we made a business model that was quite solid. We could start growing faster because obviously that's what you raise money to raise faster, not to survive. And
Yeah,
basically that's why we went to venture capital, and we're using the money to scale. I mean, you see now we have a new website. We grew the team from 25 to 35. So we are at the point where we had a, let's say, a validated business model. So not just a token, kind of like I generate revenue on a daily basis of my clients. So I want to grow faster. I raise money to be able to grow faster. So right now, like even it's public, my runway without me doing anything, I have like 2 years more of just trying to grow. But as I'm generating revenue with the capital I raise, my dream is to raise my Series A around the end of 2026, which I'm gonna tokenize. Actually, I'm gonna use my own platform to raise my next series.
it says how many team members do you have total now? I think you already answered that, 35, right?
Yeah, we're exactly 35.
35. It's quite a lot, to be fair. I mean, that's when you first started, how much team members did you have then? Because I remember you said that you didn't have a lot, did you, when you first
Oh,
originally started?
yeah. Well, so we come from 5 founders and
Okay.
one drop at the beginning. So like the first couple of years we were 4, and then we started getting some interns. Our first ever intern is now a full employee. It's one of our most trusted member in the company. So we started growing, like kind of like people started saying, "Hey, can I work for you?" We started doing a lot of internship because like employees are it's an expensive it's asset. Like you cannot just go and hire people, especially in some countries where you cannot even fire them because it's very costly. So you have to be very detailed and spot where you hire and how you hire. So we started growing from 5 to 7. I think that was the first jump. Then
Yeah.
to 9, 14, 19, and then we started just now we're good at 35, and we're gonna stay there for at least a couple of months. That was the whole plan. To once we raise the capital, to start upgrading some departments, some people, some members that they needed. And the most that we reinforced was sales and marketing, even because technology, we already have a solid team and tech, but the whole reason why we raised money was to get more clients. So we hired the most people in sales and marketing department.
How, you guys are fully compliant. Is that in the what country was it? Because I remember was it Malta that you guys were
Yeah.
fully compliant in? It was Malta, correct?
No, we're in Spain, Barcelona, but we're fully
Okay.
compliant in the sense that it is our clients who need to pursue the regulation from the place that they issue. Kind of like I'm just a soft.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I
Okay.
I provide them the like a KYC, AML. I provide them a lot of things that they need to be compliant. But then if the client decides to issue the asset from India, he has to make sure he is able to do it
Compliant.
from India.
Okay. Okay.
But that allows me to move around because if not, if I'm in Spain with a license in Spain, I would have to tell the Indian company, hey, you need to incorporate in Spain, do the whole model in Spain. A lot of people will say, like, that's ridiculous. Why would I have to move if my business is in Spain? So
Yeah.
for us to be moving around, we went for this model, which is software, but we regulated in the sense that we went to the regulators, European sandbox. We tested this with a bunch of lawyers and everything just to make sure that we are
Yeah.
compliant in that sense.
Yeah, because you don't want to have issues later down the line where in court cases because that's going to take a
Yeah.
lot of time. So, you know what I mean?
It's super easy to have problems, especially in crypto and securities. Kind of like you
Yeah.
have a double bullseye on your
That's
eyes.
the
Like
that's the
it's
two worst combined as yeah, especially in
absolutely,
tokenization as well.
yeah, yeah,
Tokenization is a
absolutely.
weird one because especially with real estate because something like a T-bill, you can go to the bank and tell them you own this. This is a T-bill. You can go and get a loan on the back of the T-bill. But for example, if you have a tokenized RWA like a property, you can't go to the bank and tell them, I have a share in this property and it's tokenized, whatever. Can I take a loan against it? You can't do that, can you?
No, I mean not yet, but that's why you can play in the DeFi markets, and it's a
Yeah,
very good example as to why tokenization works, because with the property you can get a collateral in the bank, but let's say
yeah,
you through Robinhood own 1 million shares of Apple. I mean,
hmm,
well respected, well positioned, they wouldn't lend you a loan because you don't own the stock itself.
yeah,
You have the
yeah,
position in
yeah,
Robinhood. So
yeah,
the tokenized version of equity allows you to play in DeFi markets where the value is already on chain. So people can say like, okay, this is worth this. I can lend you against this or with real estate. So this is why tokenization works with DeFi a lot. And we're going to see a lot of collateralization happen just because the true owner can go and say like, I got this position. It is worth like this. Who wants to give me a loan? And now your assets truly are worth it because now you can really ask money against your asset. If you go to the
yeah.
bank with real estate, you can, but with other assets, the bank would be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Why?
Yeah, they won't trust you. They won't trust you.
No, no, they don't.
Do you do forms of loans or take equity? How exactly does it work?
Yeah, so I don't loan and I don't take equity. What you do is you raise capital through the platform. So you
Yeah.
can think of this kind of like an angel list or a republic with some carta, kind of like whatever you want to raise for. I give you all the solution for you to be able to originate the asset on chain, onboard your investors, distribute, manage, but I don't take anything from you. I'm a SaaS. You just have to pay my monthly recurring revenue, my monthly recurring fee, and you're good to go.
Is that how tokenized platforms make their money then through the revenue, the monthly revenue? Is that how they generate revenue?
No, actually, we changed the market when we started doing this because a lot of other companies were doing some weird things, kind of like charging you upfront fees that were ridiculous. There were companies
Oh,
charging you 20K just to tokenize,
yeah.
and there were others taking fees from you, kind of like I'm taking 3% or 5 or 10 from your
Yeah, yeah,
raise.
yeah, yeah. Because that's what I thought they would probably do it from the race, like take a percentage of the race.
Yeah, but with us, since we came really from Web 2 and SaaS,
Yeah,
we started embedding this and we changed the market because now a lot of competitors are trying to do this, but it's not a simple thing to do a SaaS because You lower the entry barrier, becoming cheaper, but not necessarily. It's just that you don't charge 20K upfront. Like our cheapest model is 300 euros per month. So we really changed the whole financial units, and now a lot of people are trying to adapt to our model. But with the SaaS, you need always backers. You need a lot of money to be able to capture all the market, because the whole idea is you sink your competitors. Like the whole idea of a SaaS, the winner is who's able to survive the longest, being
Yeah,
the cheapest with the best tech.
yeah,
And
exactly.
that's why you only have two, three per vertical. Like you only have Uber and a couple. You only have
Yeah,
hotspot for sales and a couple. And
yeah,
here in RWA, we hope that you only have Brickken and a couple. And when
yeah.
you do that, the newcomers become it's too complex to enter, because you need a lot of money to be able to compete to a well-positioned player. So that's why in the SaaS, like if you manage to win, you become a unicorn because you have no competition and the
Yeah.
entry for new ones is just too high.
It's gonna be too high, yeah. That's how it is though, because the big ones end up eating all the smaller ones. It's like in the crypto we have Chainlink, and then we have like a few others. You know,
Yeah,
Chainlink's like pretty much that's the perfect example of that. And we don't really have many oracles like Chainlink's pretty much used by everyone in
no.
the crypto space.
And Chainlink, by definition, became kind of like the synonym of oracles. When you think oracles, you think Chainlink.
Chainlink,
And
yeah.
some people might not even know that Chainlink is the name of our oracle. They might think Chainlink is an oracle. So that's a perfect position explanation of what a well-positioned company is when your brand becomes associated directly to the product. Kind of
Yeah,
like when we say I'm watching Netflix, but most likely you enter into Amazon Prime to watch the movie, you will still say
Netflix.
like, "Hey, you want to watch Netflix?" So that's what we're trying to do here in Brickken, kind of like associate the word tokenization to the brand, so we can start linking and playing with both things. And that's the hardest thing to do. But if you manage to succeed that, again, like that's it. You're on your own game.
Do you guys have, I know you guys have specific team members for like the actual product, but you guys have team members for crypto specifically.
Yeah. So
Crypto
actually,
members,
one of my
markets.
co-founders comes
Yeah,
from native blockchain. So he's an auditor for a very reputable firm. So he is the one dealing with all our smart contracts and infrastructure. And now our team it's made of three people for blockchain at the product level, from a technology point of view, because you will say why three and we have like 12 members in tech, and why more? Because that's just a little part of what you need to bring that into a product. You need kind of like how that is going to work in your backend, your infrastructure, and how you're going to show that to the public. So for me, like all the blockchain and the backend, it's super important because that's how you create the product. But the most like thing you have to take care is the front end. How you gonna make your user use your product, and that's
yeah,
where we have put a lot of money on user experience. Because if not, nobody can use your product. You can have amazing tech, and nobody can use it because they don't understand it, and you can have
yeah.
amazing user experience with shitty tech, and everybody will still use you. Kind of like, oh, okay, it's a bug, but it's fine. But I love being here. So that's how you kill it at the product level. Not with the greatest tech, but with the greatest and simplicities of how people can use your product.
Yeah, I think that's very important. You know, if people can't use it or don't understand how to use, because people are lazy now. Everyone's lazy. If you know, that's how it is now. Like everyone got
Absolutely.
short term. You know, they got the TikTok brain where they can only pay attention to stuff that's 5 seconds, 10 seconds. The same thing with laziness. If people don't
I like
understand it
that.
within 5 minutes, they're just gonna move on to something else. That's how it is.
I'm
We got
stealing
another
that
question
from
from
you.
Fizz. Yeah,
The
I
TikTok
mean.
brain. I love that,
TikTok brain. That's what I
man.
call it TikTok brain. 5 second skip, 5 second skip. That's how it is. Like even on YouTube, right? A lot of YouTubers, like I do live streams specifically, and live streams does not get as much attention because it's like an hour long compared to like a 5-10 minute video. They tend to do less
Yeah,
than that.
it's
That's
crazy.
how it is.
But yeah,
It is, yeah. So Fizz asked, I think he joined a bit late, but how
yeah,
many companies are you guys currently working with and have tokenized?
yeah. So on the website, I believe we put 100, but we are right now at 86. So we put a little bit more. Oh yeah, we didn't put it. Okay, so Right now, as of last Friday, we have 86 companies on board, but we are negotiating a bunch of other contracts. So I am strongly believing that by the end of this month, we should be hitting 100 plus. Because we started growing quite fast this year. And
Yeah.
86 clients, where are they? It's yeah, we are a SaaS, so I don't have a marketplace where you can see all of those because
Yep.
every client is on their own. Some ask us to put information, but others don't want it. Kind of like they want to do the race on their own without mixing. I don't know. I don't know. It's a matter of taste for them. I give them the infrastructure for them to do. They do their own. If they want us to announce, we announce. If not, we're good to go. But usually, a lot of these players don't like to say like, "Oh, Brickken is in the back, or tokenization, or your community." I'd rather not bring your community. So I mean, it's kind of like just for our business model.
Yeah. That makes sense to be fair. Let's ask the boring questions. I know you guys get asked this a million times, and someone's gonna ask me. I know they're 100% gonna ask me. It's always everyone that watches crypto or does any sort of AMA. They always ask that one question: Is there any
Hey,
more exchange listings? That type of
of
question.
course,
That's
of
the
course
most
they are.
classic one. That's the always
Yeah,
ask this because right now we're only on Bitmart and Mexi. You
yeah.
guys planning
No,
to expand?
absolutely. So this is where I'm gonna put my crypto bro hat and say like
Yeah,
I am the first guy who wants to see this in a bunch of exchanges. And
yeah,
like my whole tokens are locked till 2026. So I wouldn't even be able to sell now. So I need to prepare the journey for I can actually, kind of like enjoy some of what I built. So
yeah, hundred
a
percent.
lot of people ask me, why you haven't listed? I'm lucky that I haven't listed. In fact, I dodged a bullet because in January through November, December, we're already making a plan for the Q1 to amplify our listing procedures, and we were already having talk with a bunch, and we were about to pay. So when Trump went crazy and we started
Yep.
dumping, we're like, oh, we pulled out, and we're like, I'm not so sure
Yeah,
anymore. And luckily, we did
that's
it.
smart. Yeah,
The thing with
listing's about
listing,
timing. Yeah, it's about timing, isn't it?
absolutely. Like a lot of people say list and pumps. It's like no, you can list and
Uh,
nobody will remember. Kind of like
yep.
it can pass, and listings are very expensive. Like a lot of people say
Yeah.
like, oh, list they with your volume. Like some projects are able to do it, but even the big ones they pay. Like a lot of
They
people say
pay. No,
like
you
with
have to
volume
pay. You have to pay.
you have to
I
pay
think.
nowadays. You pay
Unless
everywhere.
I think even if the even if some exchanges have potentially because I've seen one. There was one project that I was looking into, and they actually said Big Get. That's one that they do a bunch of dodgy stuff, right? I don't know if you're aware or not,
Yeah,
but bigger they invest into projects or they build a connection with a project, and then just before, let's say like after the listing's done, they say we're not gonna charge you guys to list, and then as time goes on and the market gets a bit boring and these low caps volumes are obviously going to decrease as the market gets worse and worse, and then as that happens, initially they tell them, we're going to look after you, we're not going to delist you. And then as soon as the volume drops, they start asking for money, they start asking for requirements, specific volume amounts on the exchanges. And then if they don't, they just delist them. There's a lot of headaches with exchange listings, I think.
yeah. I mean, it's important to understand that the 2021 listing was cleaner than it is now because the markets got during red days, the exchanges get even more
Yeah,
weird.
aggressive. They get more aggressive and weird.
So we have to be super careful. Like I saw I follow a lot the markets. I like to see the trends, who's listing to know how. Like I was
Mhm.
seeing companies getting listed, and the effect was none, kind of like
None,
five
yeah.
percent,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was like
10%,
that's nothing.
15%. Even on Binance listings now, if you don't do it at the right time, because most of the time, especially if you get on Binance or Coinbase, is like when you've already pumped like 50x and some guy will list you at the top.
Yeah,
And then by the time the listing happens, your exit liquidity pretty much if you buy at that time, because then the exchanges, they're gonna short it
absolutely.
and then do something.
I was doing that when I saw Binance listing, or preemptively futures, I would buy, and then Binance
Yeah.
listing, I would sell,
Yeah,
because
instantly.
afterwards it was at the top. Like the listing during the last year was horrible. They were listing a bunch
Horrible,
of
yeah.
things. Everybody was playing futures. So by the time you're up, you short and you make profit. And now
You
we'll
make
see if
profits,
it
yeah.
gets cleaner. So I mean, green days or during the bull run, they things
Binance been
get
doing some crazy stuff lately, bro. They've been doing some crazy
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, it is well known. I won't even tell you the secret. I mean, they ask you for a bunch of your tokens, kind of like a huge supply.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they do now, yeah. Because some projects don't actually pay the actual cash, and they pay with their tokens. And what they do with the tokens is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it is well known. Like this is not a secret. Like everybody, when you have a project, now we know. Like you have to be very careful because yeah, in 2021 it was everything
Yeah,
good and everything, but when there's oversupply of tokens, people get greedy and they killed a lot of
yep,
projects. Like a lot were killed by the listing in Binance.
yep. I think recently everything that gets listed on Binance they go down like 90% a month after because they are guaranteed, especially some of these new ones that just come out and they blow up. They don't have the capital to pay for a Binance listing, unless they're selling a bunch of their own tokens on the way up. They don't really have the capital to do that. And then after
Yeah,
the,
I
after
mean,
they pay them with the tokens, they just die out.
and I think it's healthy for a token to be lateral trading for a couple of weeks to understand what is the correct ranges. Because if you pump super high, like there was no trading, so it drops at the same speed. I've seen it in a couple of Binance that they say like, yeah, 10x, and if you look at them now, I have a favorite project. I'm gonna say the name. I have a partner project, and they did a Binance listing, and today it's almost the same value as pre-Binance, but they already burned the bullet because once they listed in Binance, all of the other exchanges came through. So they don't have the listing kind of like exposure of I'm listing again to try to amplify the thing. So that's why I'm happy about Brickken because it is true. Like it is true. We only have Bitmar and Mexi. I only
Yep.
have Bitmar and Mexi. That's great. Because if
Yep.
things tend to change and we're going good and tokenization and we can build that, I can start burning bullets as I want because I haven't burned a single one. So I'm just giving
Yeah.
you a little bit of hint. It's not that we don't like to list or spend money. It's that honestly, I don't like to believe that I do stupid moves. I think
I think burning
I
it is probably
strategize.
better than paying it to an exchange, in my opinion. I
Yeah,
think. 'Cause a lot of
yeah.
projects do
So I mean,
the burn, the less supply. Because you guys don't already have a very low supply, anyways.
yeah,
143 million. It's not. Most projects have billions, and then if you burn some of that, I think it'll be that's good. I think it's a good sentiment booster for the community. Burns. The community love burns. I don't know why. A lot of crypto bros they love the burns.
yeah. I think it was a very nice trend that started back in 2021, 2022, where all these tokens were born. But then you might have to mint again, right? I
And yeah,
mean, I
that's
don't
the
know.
issue. Yeah.
It's a knife with double edge.
It is because I've seen projects that burnt like in last cycle, and then they've magically started moving the tokens back because the way you burn it is you move into another wallet, and that wallet supposedly never gets touched. But some people go back into that wallet at a later stage if they really, really need it, and then they start.
Well,
I've seen projects do that recently, actually.
that's crazy.
Yeah, because it's like once that happens, everyone just loses that trust.
Yeah. No,
You know?
and it burn is super simple. You can actually go to 0x0000, which is like the normal wallet where everybody burns,
Yeah,
and it captures. So when we burn 7 million because we delay our listing, we have to take the hit. We started burning 1 million per day just to say like, hey, kind of like we're burning things that we think we're gonna need in the future, and we
yeah.
burn it through a 0x00. So that's why it captures 143. So this is a legit burn. I don't have access to that 7 million because I don't. That key is it's unattainable. It's a burn wallet.
Somebody, because it's all about the smart contract. If you tweak the smart contract in a specific way, you can probably get access to that token. I don't think you guys are listed on base, have you? I know you guys are on ETH and BNB only. I don't know how this guy got silver.
Yeah.
I don't
So I
think they're on base.
I love the base question because one of our things is it's a public thing in my community. We might do airdrop because we are trying to build in the base. I know the people there, and it's kind of like the Tina version of BNB. It's airdrop. So we're looking into seeing if we
Base, yeah,
can amplify our scope in base. I'm a big believer of base, and I like the whole ecosystem. There's a lot of trading volume there, and not a
yeah,
lot of projects to be honest, because everybody
yep,
likes all the other types of things. So I like the question because we are on BNB chain. We trade on Tina, And base to aerodrome is something that I'm currently studying. And I mean, if the days keep happening that we do, it was already going to be part of our plan back in January because we were going to already do it. So now we're just going to analyze because I think a pooling base is something positive for us.
I think it is, yeah. I think base will have his moment again, and when base moves, everyone just goes looks, and I don't think there is a lot of RWA projects on base. There's a few,
You know,
but not anything I think is worth even. Not any good ones at least. If you guys do
yeah.
get on base, I think that'll be a pretty good move.
Thanks. Let's see.
No, we got Crow. Crow, yeah, Crow did the burn the tokens. I think it was
Yeah,
Crow. I think it was Crow. This is the
yeah.
one that recently.
That was a horrible one. Crypto.com cannot
Horrible.
do that. They're so big as an exchange. Why would you play dirty like
Yeah,
that?
but they
Suddenly,
make. I'm sure they make stupid money every day on their fees because their fees are high. The Crow fees are high.
yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think of the market now?
Oof. Honestly, I'm positive. Kind of like if you see, like the important thing is always to follow the money and the macro. Kind of like no matter what you do, if you're in crypto or equity, you cannot fight the market. It's
Yeah,
impossible. You can have like the best company and everything, but if the market decides that it's a bad thing, you have to take that into consideration. And I think a lot of people should understand like it's not a project's fault, but no
yeah,
project can fight the macro because then it's kind of like, oh, you're not doing anything. It's like if there's no liquidity in the markets, everybody's pulling out, everybody's moving
mhm,
to other things, kind of like gold or whatever. Kind of like what is it's not my fault. People like to have safe havens when markets crashes. I'm giving you all of this because during the past 3 months, me as a trader, I did the same. I pull out. I was taking out my liquidity because I thought my money was more safe in my wallet than in certain projects, and it's fair.
yep,
But now I was also buying low and seeing how it was happening because you have to study the macro, right? So when people started doing the tariffs, I was like, it's going to crash. I'm out, see where it dips, and then you start rebuilding that because obviously the countries are companies, they're business people. They
yep,
think like every company will do, kind of like, how am I going to recover this? So when the narrative started changing and Trump became a little bit more lean with the stupidity of tax, I mean, that's a hint because other companies were telling Trump, "Is like, dude, you're killing the country and you're killing my money. Like, I pay you to put you in the
yep,
president's spot. Like, I invested in you. Do something." So the
yep.
strategy started changing, and that's important. I'm giving you all of this because I think the effect of lowering how much the inflation rate was over there and seeing that it became now almost steady. The Fed cuts got delayed. I'm very
Yeah,
positive. Macro wise, I'm very positive.
I would agree as well. Macro wise is looking good. I mean, like on the last FOMC meeting, the Fed pretty much said, if the tariffs, stop or get lowered, and there's some certainty behind it, then we can actually pretty much stop cutting. Because that's the only thing that's stopping them from cutting. Because they have to cut anyways. The Fed is way behind the curve, and obviously they know that, but they can't cut when the 10-year bond market is so high. Because realistically,
Absolutely.
if the economy is doing bad, this can't go up. It should be going down because this is a safe haven play. The people should not be selling their 10-year bonds if the market's looking like it's going to crash. That's what people go to as a safe haven to lock in that yield. But at the
Absolutely.
moment, no one's doing that, and because of that reason, the Fed cannot cut rates. So once this corrects and gets back to normal, I think the Fed will actually start cutting rates.
I
Just
mean, the last meeting I thought it was bullish because even though
yeah,
nothing happened is good. I mean, all
yeah,
if not, we wouldn't see this money coming in back into the market. So all the big money was like perfect. Two straight meetings saying there's nothing happening, we're stabilizing, they don't want to do Fed cuts, but the Fed cut is most likely happening later. So I might as well start buying
yeah.
because the economy is about to get better. And when the Fed comes in, oh boom. So I thought the last meeting was very bullish. So it's like, oh, okay, another one. There's no bad. Like for that guy to not say anything bad, I mean,
It's
that's
bullish.
already
Yeah,
bullish because
yeah,
he
yeah,
has all
yeah.
the knowledge of the economy. Like this guy owns the economy of the United States. One word from him moves markets.
Literally, yeah. That's why he's so careful and does not give anything away. Like there's a bunch of people that ask him specific questions, such and such oil's down and inflation's going down. Why are you cutting? He just says a bunch of nothing and just skips the question as fast as he can. Because if he just says one word that we might
Yeah,
be looking to cut or something, the market will just blast off.
yeah. Yeah, imagine that guy. One word, everybody analyzes, and they're like, "Oh, he said cow
Yeah,
life, and what does cow mean?" Like,
yeah,
and people get
yeah.
crazy about trying to understand. And it's like, dude, maybe he made a mistake when he was talking. Let him be. He's also human. But
Oh,
people are
that's
crazy
smart.
about the
This is
power.
a thingy one. Look at this one. If any RWA, he is wondering if any RWA projects tokenize parking lots and shared revenue would be amazing.
That's funny that you say that. A couple of months ago, we didn't go through. It didn't go through. We had a client who owned the parking lots of the Malaga airport. The Malaga, it's a town in Spain and the
Yeah,
south, and he owned the parking lots, and he wanted to tokenize them with profit sharing, and it didn't went through just because the client decided that as he didn't see it because he wanted to raise like I don't know, it was like 20 million. Those parking lots are worth a lot apparently, and I was like, dude, this is a heavy lift. Kind of like, are you ready for it? And he decided that he was going to wait a bit. But those are the things that are very interesting. Kind of like you come up with a parking lot, somebody else was coming. As long as you have a business profitable and people want to invest and get returns, then
yep,
that's tokenizable. Kind of like
yep.
that's why everything in theory can be tokenized.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is. That's There's another one. Yeah, so these guys are talking about this the supply because I know
Yep.
all the early investors supply finished. I think it was 2 months
Yes.
ago, and we
Yeah,
still have
February 25th.
about just over half of the supply still left. How does that rest unlock? 'Cause that's mostly ecosystem stuff, right?
Yeah, we have I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 62.5 million locked. That's team founders and
Yep.
treasuries from the company. That's until July 25th, 2026. And the rest are somewhere either lost or some things that either CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap are not grabbing because they have their own
Mm.
different things. You have to fill out a
Yeah,
very detailed Excel where you showcase and the API to where is the smart contract. It's not that you tell them, it's like, hey, my supply is this. You have to prove certain things that are true. They measure it, they come to you. Like honestly, that's why if you go to CoinMarketCap, I think it hits till 1,500. Out of 10 million tokens out there, only 1,500 have a circulating supply that is measurable against their standards. So that's a lot of trust. Giving you all of this because, yeah, almost half, I think 10 million are lost somewhere. Kind of like it's either that people lost it, so we cannot put them as gone.
yeah,
Because we did something weird in the past. We did WBKN to BKN. So that, for example, all of those tokens that haven't been claimed, I cannot put them as circulating, but they're circulating. So all I'm trying to say here is that almost half belongs to Treasury and Team unlocked this year, and the rest is something that I don't know where we don't know. We know where it is, but they don't want to put them as circulating just because it's behind a contract that has to be claimed by an investor, and since it hasn't been claimed, it cannot be put as circulating.
if like for example, you've changed the tokenomics, right? Let's say you've burnt a bunch
Yeah,
of tokens. How long does it normally take, for that to actually show up? Like, for example, I know you guys have to send a request to CoinGecko. How
yeah.
long would that normally take, for it to go through?
Once you send the detailed Excel, it's
Hmm.
automatically. So once you move, for example, if I was to move, I don't know, one BKN from my wallet, that BKN would already show there in the next 30 to 40, 30 to 1 hour. Kind of like it's the refresh rate.
Oh,
Uh, the only thing that we fought a couple of weeks ago was because our staking contract was not taken as circulating. And at the beginning, when we supply our Excel, kind of like our low information, we say we have a staking contract, and they tell you staking is not circulating because it's locked. So we went out to them and tell them, hey, it needs to be circulating because it's free entrance and free out. It's not locked. It's not behind a 3 or 6 or 1 year locked. So after a lot of conversation, they accepted that our staking should be in circulating. So that's why we grew for like 10 million more. We were at 58, and we started updating some things, and that's why I was
yeah, I
circulating.
think that's.
But
See if I can find it.
yeah, I don't remember when was the last time we did it, but yeah. So that's a lot of staking.
15 million stake, yeah. That's pretty deep. That's pretty good, though. How much
Yeah,
does that
so
equate
70.
to of the current
So
supply?
so we have 71 in circulating and 15. What is that? Almost a third.
Yeah, that's pretty good,
A
though.
little bit less, a fourth maybe.
Just a little bit less, yeah. That's still pretty good though, I think. That's just
Actually, it's very good.
that's community that that's community that is. That's trust. How you
Yeah.
how hope you're well. This guy's a big fan of Brickken, by the way.
Thank you, Ross.
How do you navigate the negativity associated with crypto, build trust with investors and company you work with? That's a decent question, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question because we don't get asked that. It's not a listing question. Thank you. No, I'm kidding. Basically, we don't talk about crypto. Our clients don't care about crypto because
Yeah,
we started not selling blockchain as a product. We started selling kind of like tokenization is the digital format of this and that. So, but it is true. It does affect us a lot. What happens in crypto to us, as for example, last year we started growing, and it's funny because around March, April, May, we started generating a bunch of leads just because the market was very green. Since we're offering a capitalization format, so companies looking for capital, if there's money out there and people are happy, they will pursue more money. So when there's not enough positive news in the market, it does affect us. January for us was a horrible month, and a lot of the clients that we thought we were going to sign or anything, they were like, no, 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 because we're going to go into tariff wars, inflation is coming, I don't want to raise, people are not going to invest. So it's not so much as the negativity of crypto, which in 2021, 2022, it was. Everybody was like, oh, everything in crypto is a scam. Now that has cleaned a bit. Now it's more about can we trigger tokenization to the narrative that is at hand. So that's why I'm also happy for my BKN token that we found, obviously good. But I'm also more happy because I think the next couple of weeks I'm gonna generate a lot of clients because everybody, as you are, everybody's happy now. Kind of like
yeah,
when people are happy, they like to go and spend more money, or in our case, look for more money. So I think it's an interesting question. To answer in one short question, I don't care anymore about crypto. It does not affect us anymore. To build trust is, well, we are a Web2 company. Kind of like
yeah,
we have a lot of know-how and we do a lot of education. If you look at our LinkedIn, it has nothing to look like our Twitter. LinkedIn looks like we are back. Like we play that level of
yeah,
trying to tell them like I am with you. I'm a suit up person.
yeah. I think that's valid. That's very valid. Because like crypto is crypto, but then the clients are obviously going to be different. They're going to be companies. They're going to be, I don't think they're not. Have you ever had Have you ever had any crypto projects reach out, for like APY help or do they do stuff like that? Or
Yeah,
with
now
partners?
more and more, there's a couple of DeFi projects who wants to have access to tokenized assets.
Yeah,
So they're like, hey, can we connect to one of your clients in case they want to collateralize? So that's something that is interesting. We have a lot of aggregators of information, kind of like they want to see all the tokenization of assets. So they want to connect to our information center, our data, so they can do whatever they want. And now we have other ones that they already providing certain crypto products. I would say like not necessarily like maybe we do have one exchange that they're saying, can we offer tokenized assets? Can we tokenize and push them on our own application? So that's why we started creating all our API, kind of like just to connect our whole technology to a product that is already made by somebody else. So we're very hopeful this is going to be a good product because not everybody wants to have their own. Some products they already have, especially Web3, they already have their own product. So they just need a model functionality that you have. So
yeah.
they say, like, give me that functionality because I'll create it on my own product.
That's yeah, I understand that. We got another question here. This is just I don't. That's not really one. Do you think you can answer that one?
Yeah, I mean, just so everybody knows, like tokenization, it's legal.
Yeah,
Like you don't need a new legality to be built on top to for you to tokenize assets. The problem was uncertainty, kind of like how you do it. It can become like a public issuance or it's a private market because when you deal with securities, how you issue a security, it mutates the whole legality of things. So when it happened with tokenization, since the technology itself was quite new, and suddenly you can onboard €1 person across the globe, there was a lot of things that became simpler from when you use securities. That create uncertainties. Like, are we legally prepared? Is that we were always legally prepared in the sense that tokenization could have happened, but some things we needed more clarity. So that's why in Europe there's been a lot of updates in regulation as to when you tokenize a security, just make sure you do this, kind of like a clear path. And in United States, we know the SEC, it's very limited as to how they like to showcase things. So it's not that you cannot tokenize in the United States. You can. There's been a lot of tokenization out there. The situation now that we're looking for is, can we make a simpler path just so we can sleep at night? Because one wrong path, even though you have the best, the SEC might say like, "Oh, you did this wrong, and then you onboarded these investors were not accredited." So all we need is more clearance on how to issue assets and chain. But again, legal wise, you were always able to tokenize.
That's pretty much the same across the whole crypto space, to be honest. Just a clear regulatory. It's not even just for
Absolutely.
RWA. I think it's for crypto in general. People just want to know what's allowed and what's not allowed. And I think when that comes, I think crypto will obviously, I think it'll go a lot more mainstream than what it is now.
Yeah, so I'm hopeful for the round total tomorrow. Not a regulation or an update is not going to happen, but at
Nah,
least the conversation is already happened. So maybe next year we'll see ourselves with a guidance book, so to speak, as to how tokenization of securities slash assets can happen in the United States. And when you give that certainty, then a lot of players like ourselves, we're going to go over there and say, like, okay, we're open for business in the United States.
I got one last question, and I think it's a pretty good question. What happens to the tokens, the deposit of the customer's 5,000 Brickken if the customer withdraws a contract or service? That's a pretty decent question.
Yeah, no, so we don't stake the 5,000 they give us to us. Now all the BKs that we grab, we put it in our staking. Oh, for the investors. So the staking for our BK holders is paid through our clients and some of the functionality. If a customer pays 5,000 and tomorrow decides not to use our product anymore, you pay. I'm sorry. Like, it's kind of like any other product. Like, you
Yeah,
cannot say like, give me back my money, unless we will
yeah,
make a complete mistake. Has it ever happened? No, nobody has claimed back. So we do have clients that they already done and they're like, I'm out, or successful or unsuccessful. It's not our problem. But once they pay, and that's it.
yeah. I think that's pretty much for any business. It's like you can't pay for something, once the time is done and come back and say, I want my money back. I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, but I have no doubt that some will try that. It's like, oh, it didn't work. It didn't work. What? That you failed
Yeah,
at tokenization is not because of the technology. It's because
yeah,
things happen. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think we've got that up, Edwin. Do you have anything else you want to end with? I think that's pretty much all the questions for the community.
No, thanks everybody. I know there's a couple of people here from your community that are active holders. So yeah,
Yeah,
expect some more news.
I think most people are active holders, pretty much.
Then a shout out to everybody. Just to be more clear, we are expecting to drop a lot of news. So whatever happened organically this weekend was not in our plans, because we already talked about listing and everything. So we do have a plan for us to grow. As I can already tell you, like, our whole goal is to be the brand for tokenization on our sector. So
Yeah,
listings, news, partnerships. We have a lot of things happening that we were withholding during the past 3 months because of the macro. We didn't want to spend energy and good content if there was not going to be any effect. So now you can expect a lot from us. We're gonna definitely. I'm gonna have a lot of fun the next 3 months. Let's put it like this.
yeah. I think it will be quite interesting, to be honest. Definitely going to see you guys grow a lot more, and I appreciate for coming down as well, Edwin.
Of course.
I mean, we can do this again in the future, definitely. If maybe after some developments, maybe in a month's time, 2 months' time, we can definitely do it again.
Yeah, whenever you want. Always a pleasure to be with you and your community, mate. Thank you very much for everything.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of you guys for watching as well. Drop a like on your way out. We will end it right here, guys. Take care. Bye bye. Lalu.